guys obviously know um, our main teacher, but I'm just quickly introduce myself. So Lucas and Elliot, was it?
Elton.
Oh, sorry, Elton.
Is it me?
Luke, and of course I know you, Philip. So my name's Kiyoshi. I'm just gonna be helping out, and that's I'm not very interesting, so that's all I got to say about myself. Oh, and just kind of a quick little overview about the class. Every week we just do a fun project and learn about something cool in the ocean and the marine biology sphere. It's all simple, and unlike most classes, there's no tests, there's no homework. This is just the fun part, the videos and the projects. So
That's right. And I'm Miss Dufresne. I know both of you. I'm excited to have you here, and I'm excited for us to dig in and learn some things about coral reefs. So, Yoshi?
yeah. One more thing I want to add. Let's just be aware that I just want a quick rundown of the community. Even though, depending on how many people are here, a lot more people will see this because we record these. Don't worry, you guys will not be on screen. It'll just be me and whoever else is over 18.
Right.
18.
But so just be respectful in the comments because we saved the chat along with the online blogs, and we won't have any problems, and let's have some fun. All right.
That's right. And if you have questions as we go along, we won't have time to stop for them. So go ahead and please put those in the comments, in the chat. And that way we'll pick out the ones that we want to answer later. So if you have questions, pop them into the chat. All right. So welcome to our think tank class. We're excited to have you here and ready to learn about coral reefs. So today's lesson, let's dive right in. We've got a couple friends to go with us. So what is a reef and why are they cool? You may think that coral reefs are made up of rocks, but they're actually live organisms. These organisms are tiny little animals called polyps. Polyps live on the outside of the reef. As polyps die, they become hard and new polyps grow on top of them, causing the reef to grow. Since the polyps need to eat to stay alive, you can think of the coral reef as eating too. They eat small animals called plankton as well as algae. The algae get their food from the sun by using photosynthesis. This is why the coral reefs form close to the surface of the water in clear water where the sun can feed the algae. So here's a video that's going to explain this even better.
Coral reefs. Their bright, vivid colors can be seen in tropical ocean waters around the globe. Beyond their brilliant appearance lies a hidden significance. Coral are animals. Though they may look like colorful plants, coral are in fact made up of tiny animals called polyps. These invertebrates can range from the size of a pinhead to a bit larger than a basketball. Each polyp consists of a soft sac-like body topped by a mouth covered in stinging tentacles. To protect their soft bodies and add support, the polyps secrete limestone skeletons or calicles. Corals are megabuilders. Polyp calicles connect to one another, creating a colony that acts as a single organism. As colonies grow over hundreds and thousands of years, they join with other colonies and become reefs that can grow to hundreds of miles long. The largest coral reef is Australia's Great Barrier Reef, which began growing about 20,000 years ago. Coral reefs are some of the most diverse ecosystems on Earth. though they cover less than 1% of the ocean floor. Coral reefs are home to 25% of all marine creatures. It's been estimated that up to 2 million species inhabit coral reefs, rivaling the biodiversity of the rainforest. The reefs provide rich habitat that helps protect young fish as they grow. Coral are translucent. Coral reefs get their rainbow of colors from algae or zooxanthellae that live in their tissue. Though corals use their tentacles to capture some food, most of their food comes from the algae they house. When coral becomes stressed by pollution or other factors, they evict their algae. Coral bleaching results, revealing corals' white skeletons. Coral provide a window to the past. As coral grow, their limestone skeletons form layers, similar to tree rings, that vary in composition and thickness based on ocean conditions at the time. With some coral reefs growing for thousands or even millions of years, scientists can study these layers to reveal what the Earth's climate may have been like in the ancient past. Unfortunately, climate change is putting corals' future in danger, along with the millions of species that inhabit the reefs and the 500 million people that rely on reef fish for food. Warming waters result in prolonged coral bleaching that kill coral reefs or leave them vulnerable to other threats. Without significant action on climate change, our oceans could lose many of their colorful reefs by the end of the century.
The most famous reef. And so, Barrier Reef.
Off the northeast coast of Australia, a line of surf rises out of the Pacific Ocean. Beneath the water's surface, creating breaking waves, is the most magical marine environment on Earth, the Great Barrier Reef. It's a place so unique that it's classified as one of the world's 7 natural wonders. Stretching for over 1,000 miles along the tropical coast of Australia, is the largest living structure on the planet. Made up of almost 3,000 different reefs, there is more life in this area than anywhere else on Earth. Many of the creatures here are beautiful, while some look straight out of science fiction. And others downright deadly. It is an amazing, ever-changing, natural miracle. Is the world's largest coral reef ecosystem, and it's home to the most extensive amount of diverse marine life. The sheer numbers of creatures that live here make the reef as hectic as any human city, with the rhythm of an almost never-ending rush hour. This incredible ebb and flow of life goes on and on, continuously throughout the reef. It may be hard to believe that such a huge solid structure hasn't always been here. But compared with the rest of Australia, this reef is very young.
All right, let's find out who lives in a reef.
So before we launch into that, just real quick, if you guys have a look at all of those weird and alien looking creatures that live in reefs, and that is just in one reef or the one area of a reef in Florida. So this is in our own country. We have all these crazy and mysterious looking creatures. So who wants to go swimming?
Did anyone see a creature that they have never heard of before? I think you guys are all on mute. Yeah. Did anyone see a creature they've never seen before, or were you familiar with all of them?
Never seen
I didn't know the last one was a real one.
Lucas, what?
that last
Like
one.
Yeah, the last one was like the one that kills like the fish, or
Okay.
like it sucks it in. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, those are creepy.
I hope it doesn't suck humans.
Right. Watch your toes if you go in.
Oh my goodness. What about that octopus and that seahorse? That's true camouflage right there.
Super cool. All right. So, as we know, the reefs are in danger, so we want to save them. Sadly, reefs around the whole world are dying. But we would want to know why they're dying. So a couple of the reasons are that because of the rising ocean temperatures, and then the human impact of the reefs. So you might ask, can we save them? The answer is yes. One of the ways we can do that is to be educated about them.
What is coral bleaching? The corals that make up reefs around the world may look like one giant organism, but they're actually an ecosystem with many small creatures working together. Thousands of tiny jellyfish-like animals called polyps connect together to form colonies. These colonies host algae, which provide corals with food, as well as their vivid color, through the process of photosynthesis. A combination of global warming, water pollution, and other environmental disturbances can stress corals, leading them to expel the tiny algae that they need to survive. The process, called bleaching, leaves only a white skeleton, where before there were vibrant colors. Bleached corals aren't necessarily dead. Restoring cool water temperatures or removing pollutants can help fragile corals recover. But without improving conditions, they essentially die. Why should you care about coral bleaching? About 25% of marine life depends on the habitat created by coral reefs. More than 500 million people worldwide rely on reefs for food, tourism, employment, even protection from extreme weather events. And nearly $30 billion in estimated reef value is at stake. Global bleaching events, once a rarity, are happening more often and with greater intensity. We're currently in what scientists say is the worst bleaching event on record, and it could last into next year. Unless we do something soon, coral reefs could go from the cradle of marine life to its grave.
We've now had 3 major bleaching events on the Great Barrier Reef. In 98, 2002, and again just recently in 2016. We zigzagged along the whole length in a helicopter and fixed-wing plane. We put about 100 people underwater. The extent and severity of this bleaching is off the chart. Typically, a bleached coral is nutritionally compromised. But this time around, we discovered an additional phenomenon. Many of the corals we surveyed were already dead. They actually cooked, and that's because the temperatures this time around were so extreme.
Already in 2016, severe coral bleaching has also been recorded across the Pacific Ocean, in Fiji, across the Indian Ocean, in the Maldives and the Seychelles, and even in the southern Red Sea. Similar events are predicted across the Caribbean and Micronesia.
Around the world, in Paris last year, have committed to a rapid transition away from fossil fuels towards more sustainable, renewable energy.
Paris marked the moment when the world finally decided to heed the ever-rising mountain of evidence that had been piling up for years and began instead to galvanize our focus.
S'il y avait une seule chose à réussir pour appliquer l'accord de Paris, c'est la réduction des émissions de gaz à effet de serre. Pour augmenter la résilience de l'océan, il faudrait bien sûr lutter contre le réchauffement.
All right. So think about what you know so far, and what do you think might be causing more bleaching in the coral? Anyone want to try to answer that? What do you think? I think we're still on mute. Can you guys unmute yourself, or do you need
Fossil fuels.
And so why do you tell me more about that?
Because fossil fuels use like, I don't really know, but I think it's like when you burn up the gas, like the gas is still warm, so it goes up to a hemisphere, and when it comes down, it makes the overall temperature warmer, and when it gets warmer.
All right, good. Nice job. All right.
Well, that's the kind of serious part about the reefs, but we also have some of the fun part about coral reefs. So that's the second, or not even about reefs. I just threw this in because I think you guys will enjoy the next 2 minutes.
the three types of coral reefs. The first one is fringing. Can you say fringing? Can I get, don't be shy. All right, so three types of coral reefs. So we've got fringing, say fringing, barrier, and a tall. A tall. That's an interesting one. Okay, let's look at those. All right, so a fringing reef, take a look at the picture. It's directly attached to the shore. Okay, so Kiyoshi, can you widen out your screen so that so widen it out, like if everyone can see the picture, so you can see that those a fringing reef is directly attached to the shore. Go ahead to the next one. And then a barrier reef is separated from the mainland by a lagoon. Can you say that word, lagoon? So it's separated, but so you've got land, the mainland, and then you've got a lagoon, and then you'll have the barrier reef. All right, go ahead. And then an atoll reef, and that extends all around a lagoon. Okay, so take a look at that picture. All right, the next word is biotic. Can you say that? Biotic. So biotic, what are some of the living factors in an ecosystem? All right, so if here in this picture I see bees and I see trees and I see a rabbit, so would I find those in a barrier reef? No, I would not find these living things in a barrier reef. What living things would I find in a barrier reef?
Fish, crabs, sharks, plants, maybe.
Okay, so you think about that. So the living factors in the barrier reef are biotic, okay? So those living things that affect the reef ecosystem. So the fish and all of the other living things that are in the reef, they have an effect on the reef's ecosystem, okay? All right, so go ahead. The next word, abiotic. Can you say that?
Abiotic.
So that describes all the non-living factors in an ecosystem. And so if you look at the picture, we've got non-living factors such as sunlight, wind, rain, water, and soil. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, so I'm only seeing part of the cards. I'm not seeing the full card for some reason. All right, so what are three things that coral reefs need to survive? Well, they need the water to be at a temperature between 75 and 85 degrees. They need sunlight, right? And what else? Shallow water and clear water. Why do you think that the water needs to be shallow? Based on everything we've learned today. Lucas?
Because if it's shallow, then they can get more sunlight. And then corals need sunlight to grow.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
corals
because
don't need sunlight.
exactly.
They can't. It's not shallow water. It doesn't get sunlight.
Okay, go ahead. All right, so here are some of the reasons that coral is valuable. Now, the first word, biodiversity. Let's talk about that for a second. So biodiversity, that is the variety of living things in a given place. So the variety of the living things in our coral reef ecosystem, and that is biodiversity. It's short for biological diversity. And let's see, some other reasons that coral is valuable. It protects the shoreline. Some things are used for pharmaceuticals, and those are the only ones that I'm seeing right now. I'm not seeing the rest of those. Tourism. a lot of people from all over the world come to the Great Barrier Reef. And education, just like we're doing right now, we're learning about the Great Barrier Reef, culture, and social values. So the coral is very valuable. Another reason why we want to make sure and educate ourselves on it, understand the importance of the coral reefs so that we know that we don't want to cause them to die out. We want to continue enjoying them and their benefits. So the importance of biodiversity. So that biodiversity, or all the factors that are included in the living organisms that are in the coral reef, they're affected by the cycles. Some of those cycles are the carbon cycle and nitrogen cycle. Now, we're going to have a link on the website that you can go into and learn all about the carbon cycles and nitrogen cycles. So I would recommend that you do that. They're beautiful. We want to continue enjoying them. Also, we never know what types of medicines we could make from the things that are in the coral reef. And so that's another super important factor. And Kiyoshi, can you scroll that up in case I missed any of those? Yeah. Oh, so biodiversity, the impact on food webs, which I know fourth graders know all about. And I think there was one more in there below impact on food webs. Nope, we got it. Okay, great. All right, what are the threats to coral reefs? Well, overfishing, pollution, right? Overfishing and pollution. If too many boats are out there, that causes problems, and that is a threat to coral reefs.
That's
And then
oil?
yes, oil spills, that would be from the boats out there. And then when we say lack of public awareness, that means people are not learning about the importance of the coral reefs. And so I'm excited that you're here learning about them, and you can tell your friends about the coral reefs also. All right. So the coral reef protects the shoreline. Threats from nature, as you can imagine, hurricanes, changes in water temperature, super important. Dramatic changes in the saltiness of the water. And then predators such as snails and crown of thorns starfish.
Can we really do anything to protect the threats from nature?
Well, we're doing something right now. Do you remember what
But
that?
I'm talking about like the threats like to the coral reef from nature. Like we can't control nature.
But we can control, so we're learning. So that's the one thing you're doing right now. You are becoming educated about the coral reefs and how important they are. So you can definitely do your part by, say you were there at a coral reef. Would you pollute the water? Would you be careful if you were in a boat? Yeah. Those are just a couple of things that come to mind, that if I were near a coral reef, I would want to be very careful. But really the biggest thing we're doing right now is educating ourselves about the coral reefs and their importance and their beauty. We can continue enjoying them for years and years to come. All right. That is the end of that. And oh, guess what? It's project time. Woo! Ready to hear about the project? You guys ready? All right. So during this week made a shoebox aquarium. Does everyone have a shoebox? Everyone's got a shoebox, right? Okay. So I'm just going to show you what I made, and you can use just things that you have around the house and just use your imagination. But I'm going to turn my camera around, and I guess Kiyoshi, you can stop sharing your screen, and then that way they'll be able to see this better. Oh, yeah, there's a picture. Okay, so we have the picture. And then here is the shoebox aquarium that I made. So what did I use? I used a shoebox. I used some tissue paper that I had around the house. I had some cool shells. You might have some cool shells that you found at the beach. Rocks. You can find rocks everywhere. And this is just more tissue paper that I cut in squigglies for my seaweed. And then I printed out some fish and cut them and hung them here. And they look like they're swimming around in the aquarium. And then I just created a background with some colored pencils and paper.
What do I use if I don't have a tissue? If I don't have a box?
Okay, so good question. So we want to have projects that you can make with things around your house. So if you don't have tissue paper, think, well, what else could I use? All right, any kind of paper. You could use Play-Doh or clay, right? You could cut pictures out of magazines. Apps, I want you to use your imagination and just start out by saying, hey, Mom, Dad, do we have an empty shoebox? And then just start from there. I looked at pictures to get ideas.
Seaweed.
Do we turn this in next time? Like, do we show you guys next time we
Yes, so you'll make your shoebox aquarium, and then you can take a picture of it and upload it to the website. Kiyoshi's going to teach you how to do that. And then we are.
Or can we just show it to you next time? Like,
Yeah.
You can.
Yes.
Well,
Yes,
like,
we'll
we'll start the class with show and tell.
When is show and tell? Tomorrow? Next week?
Next Wednesday. Should be next Wednesday.
Yeah.
I know.
All right. You already have some ideas in your mind for your shoebox aquarium?
Nope.
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 I had to do one in Mandarin class.
Our website, www.tridentreatsus.com. Go to the blog section. And all you have to do is, one, get better internet than me. And right here, as you guys can see, it says shoebox diorama. It is, and you can see the picture of Kim's right there. It's beautiful, and everything is spelled correctly. So that's awesome. Just click here once you're logged in, and you can, well, when I log in, it will say leave a comment, and you can leave a comment and a picture. Just keep it respectful.
And like in your Gmail account or
any account.
You can log in with Facebook. With Facebook, Google, or with an email. So
okay.